The old house stood on a hill overlooking the town, a skeletal silhouette against the bruised purple of the twilight sky. Locals called it the BlackWood House, and they'd whisper stories about the family who vanished from it a century ago. They said the house had swallowed them whole. Me, being a paranormal investigator with more bravado than sense, saw it as the ultimate challenge. I pushed open the heavy oak door, which groaned like a dying man. A wave of cold and stagnant air washed over me, carrying the scent of dust and something else, something coppery and sweet, like old blood. My flashlight beam cut through the oppressive darkness, dancing over furniture draped in white sheets, resembling a room full of ghosts. The living room was dominated by a grand fireplace, its mantelpiece lined with faded photographs. I picked one up, a family portrait, a stern-faced man, a woman with a hollow-eyed smile, and two young children, a boy and a girl, both looking away from the camera as if something just beyond the frame had captured their terrified attention. I felt a chill that had nothing to do with the house's temperature. As I explored further, the house seemed to come alive around me. Floorboards creaked overhead, even though I was alone. A faint music box tune drifted from an unseen room, a delicate melody that was horribly out of place in this decaying tomb. I followed the sound up a winding staircase, my heart hammering against my ribs. The music led me to a child's bedroom. A rocking horse stood in the corner, swaying gently back and forth on its own. The music box sat on a dresser, its lid open, the tiny ballerina spinning endlessly, but it was the walls that made my blood run cold. They were covered in crayon drawings, not the cheerful scribbles of a happy child, but frantic, terrifying images. Stick figures being chased by a towering, shadowy entity with too many arms and a face that was just a swirling vortex of black. Underneath one particularly gruesome drawing of the shadow figure holding the stick figure children, a single word was scrawled in messy red crayon: "Take her." Suddenly the music box slammed shut. The rocking horse stopped dead. Silence, thick and absolute, descended upon the room. And then a whisper right behind my ear. A child's voice, raspy and cold, said, "He sees you." I spun around, flashlight beam waving wildly, but there was nothing there, just empty space. But the feeling of being watched was suffocating. I backed out of the room, my boots crunching on something. I looked down. The floor was littered with small white objects. Teeth. Dozens of tiny, milky white baby teeth. I practically fell down the stairs in my haste to get out, my rational mind screaming at me to run. But the front door, which I'd left ajar, was now shut tight. I rattled the knob, pushed with all my weight, but it wouldn't budge. I was trapped. A low growl echoed from the living room. It wasn't an animal sound. It was a deeper, more guttural growl vibrating through the very floorboards. I slowly turned, raising my flashlight. In the center of the room, one of the white sheets had been pulled from a sofa. It lay crumpled on the floor. And sitting on the sofa was something that shouldn't exist. It was tall and impossibly thin, its limbs bent at unnatural angles like a broken insect. Its skin was the color of old parchment, stretched taut over jutting bones. It had no face, just a smooth, blank expanse of flesh. But as I watched, a slit appeared in the center of its head, widening into a grotesque, grinning mouth filled with rows upon rows of needle-sharp teeth. The taker, it matched the drawings perfectly. It unfolded itself from the sofa, rising to a height that almost touched the ceiling. Its long, spindly arms, far more than two, reached out towards me, its fingers ending in blackened, razor-sharp claws. I was paralyzed with a fear so profound it felt like my soul was trying to claw its way out of my body. The creature didn't move quickly. It glided across the floor, a silent, inevitable nightmare. The coppery smell was overwhelming now, and I realized it was coming from the creature itself. As it got closer, I could see the faces. Swirling just beneath its pale skin, like phantoms trapped in murky water, were the faces of the BlackWood family. The man, the woman, the two children. Their mouths were open in silent screams, their eyes wide with eternal terror. They weren't just swallowed by the house. They were absorbed by this thing. They were a part of it. It raised a clawed hand, and the last thing I saw before the darkness consumed me was my own terrified face beginning to surface on its skin, my mouth opening to join their silent chorus. The house had a new ghost tonight, and the taker had a new addition to its collection. Be careful which doors you open, because some places don't just want to scare you. They want to keep you forever. Thank you for listening. If you enjoyed this story, don't forget to like, subscribe, and share. And hit that notification bell so you don't miss our next descent into darkness. Stay safe out there.